Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th, 2020 here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here, too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and, of course, everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chocker. I mean...
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. That's right, everybody. It is the news time. Welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is February 12th, 2021. Tonight's news, of course, CD Projekt Red has to be in the news again, but this time they're kind of getting the short end of the stick. Also, of course, we've got information on BlizzCon Line coming up this next week, and we've got some very interesting information about where Master Chief could end up here very soon, platform-wise. Hint, it's definitely not the Xbox because he's already there. Again, everybody, it is February 12th, 2021. I am Travis, and of course, the big thing right now is that I am solo. Kyle is currently out right now, or at least he was on his way home, and of course, due to the current weather situation, he wasn't able to join me live, so as he's on his way, of course, though, we'll run things solo here for the time being. If he's able to hop in somehow, I'll work some magic here and see what I can do to actually get him in. But in the meantime, welcome, everybody. So with that, we're going to see how things go here as I work the news and talk, I guess, to myself, of course, and hope that all of you participate with me as well going into this. So let's go ahead and look at our title story for tonight. And this story comes to us from Engadget. CD Projekt Red says it was hacked but won't pay the ransom. This may eventually lead to the release of compromised data. With the bungled launch of Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red has had a rough couple of months. Now, the company tweeted that it has been hacked and must pay a ransom or code from games like Cyberpunk 2077, and an unreleased version of Witcher 3 will be revealed. The attackers have also dumped or threatened to dump documents related to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. The company said that an unidentified actor gained unauthorized access to our internal network, collected certain data belonging to CD Projekt Capital Group, and left a ransom note, the content of which will be released to the public. And as you can see here in their tweet, it's off to the side. Their document, of course, continues going to say, "We will not give in to the demands nor negotiate with the actor, being aware that this may eventually lead to the release of the compromised data," CD Projekt Red wrote in response. It added that although some devices in its network have been encrypted, our backups remain intact. Good on you, CD Projekt Red. And it has secured its IT infrastructure and started restoring data. So the actual note from the hackers themselves, which based on information that's already come out so far has been determined to be the hacker group. I think it was Hello Kitty. The note actually from them here, obviously, of course, is just a simple text file that was found. Goes on to say, "You have been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3 Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We've also dumped all of your documents related to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter even more, and people will see how shitty your company functions. Investors will lose trust in your company, and the stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us." So, since this story came out, one of the biggest things that we're actually seeing from this right now is that the source code actually has already been auctioned off. Based on the information already presented so far, it looks like one of the biggest things we got happening is that the auction was done on the dark web, and they were able to actually see not necessarily who did it, but that the auction did get taken care of. Let me go ahead and go here to the other article from Engadget talking about it. Let me go ahead and flip back here to the Chrome capture. The auction is closed. Hackers auctioned off stolen source code from the Red Engine and CDPR Games releases and have just announced that a satisfying offer from outside the forum was received with a condition of no further distribution or selling. So the hackers themselves actually took the source code bundled up into a package. It's like, hey, you give us this, you're going to get everything here. Nothing was split up. But the code itself actually sounds like it may have been sold for around $4 million. And from this point forward, of course, whatever deal they set up with the person that actually purchased it, they set the rule, of course, that you're not going to actually see it distributed further or selling it. So I'm not sure exactly like what else is going to happen from here, whether the source code is still in the hands of the hackers and they're actually going to be releasing it the way that they were talking about, whether they are going to be releasing it to gaming journalists at least to see what's in there if they're going to. It's going to really depend on what happens next here. The scale of this, of course, is not anything like the scale that we saw of Nintendo's Giga Leak, but any hack itself and any leak of information is always a problem itself because, just like they said, they didn't just get source code for games. They also got themselves they got documents related to accounting, HR, and that, which means personnel information as well. So you're talking about people who worked for the company, people who previously worked for the company, people who work for the company now. You're talking about their information possibly getting out too. So based on what CD Projekt Red has been able to find and other parts of the story here too related to the sale as well, they have so far not been able to determine if any personal data is in there of any current employees, past employees, but they do advise that for any CD Projekt Red personnel to go in and just set up fraud protection, do all the stuff they need to be able to keep an extra eye out on themselves if they're not doing it already. But from this point forward, though, since the article was published earlier this week, of course, the article about the selling of it was yesterday. As of right now, there's no information as to what else is actually in there or what anything else looks like source code wise. So whoever has it, whatever they're going to do with it, we're not exactly sure. Would be really neat to actually see what is going to be coming of this anyway. But I guess it depends on how far this actually puts everything behind going forward. It's just curious to think, though, of course, I mean, CD Projekt Red, even like kind of the thing said is that they've like the article was going to go on to is talking about them having kind of a target on their back and on their front as well. So, you know, they've got to look out both ways just because of how chaotic and how bungled, I guess, if you really want to call it that, the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 was, and where things are sitting at right now. But of course, because this wasn't some sort of vindictive thing to get back at the company because of how things went there, and there was some monetary value that was put on this, and the hacking group was able to actually make money on it. It definitely just seems like a perfect opportunity to just throw another company's name down the toilet, I guess, with this. Not saying that CD Projekt Red is actually going to really suffer from this like crazy amounts. In the short term, of course, it's a lot of damage control to make sure that they can't get back in again. But long term, we just don't know what's going to be happening yet either. So it's very interesting to find out what's going to be coming down the line, especially because we've got more stuff coming out for Cyberpunk 2077 with patches. We've got hopefully multiplayer coming up in the next year or so. We've got additional DLC that's coming out in the next 6 to 8 months. There's a lot that's actually coming out here very soon. So it's going to be curious to see what was actually obtained source code wise and what it's going to lead to for development down the line too, especially with the rest of what's going on with Cyberpunk 2077. So moving on from there, of course, here into our next story. And this story comes to us from Kotaku, and this one was actually a bit of a surprise here for sure. Kingdom Hearts series coming to PC on March 30th, exclusive to Epic Games Store. I gotta say, man, Epic Games Store is really doing good here. A handful of Kingdom Hearts games are coming to PC on March 30th, and they will be exclusive to Epic Games Store. During today's Spring Showcase, Epic Games announced that Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory will be joining the service next month. If those names are confusing, just know that it's the first 3 mainline games in the Kingdom Hearts series with a few remastered side games, as well as the Neat Rhythm game from late last year. Comprehensive list includes all of these down here. So you're talking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games, it looks like, that are actually going to be coming out, specifically looking there at the Kingdom Hearts series. This is the first time Square Enix crossover role-playing series has appeared on PC, so let's hope it doesn't remain exclusive to Epic Games Store for long. And I gotta be honest, it probably won't. I mean, this is neat to actually see it come to PC. I don't know why it's taken so long to actually get to PC unless there's been something with exclusivity. It's kind of curious actually that it's taken this long to get to PC, but you look at how long it's actually taken, like even the Halo games as another example of stuff that takes forever, and Halo really fits in the scene of PC, but Kingdom Hearts, that's actually a really curious one to see coming down the line from them, and the fact that it's going to the Epic Games Store too is very curious though. But I know Epic Games has been just working out deals like crazy to distribute games on their platform. Whether this is some sort of timed exclusivity, don't know. Whether maybe it'll end up on some sort of Xbox Game Pass storefront, or if it's going to end up on Steam or any other sort of combination game services platform, in the near future. But it is cool that is going there. So far, though, the article doesn't actually list out a price of what's going to, like, what everything is going to cost. I'm guessing, though, for all of these combined, especially because Kingdom Hearts 3 is, not even 2 years old, I think? I think it's just over 2 years old. That itself is... it's going to be kind of curious to see where the cost is going to sit. I'm going to say that this whole collection is probably going to be about 70 or 80 bucks because of the amount of games that you're getting in it. Of course, Kingdom Hearts 3 and its DLC all being rolled into one package with everything else there too. So whether or not you're going to be able to, whether or not you're buying everything separately or if it's all just one giant bundle so you have to get everything, don't know. It doesn't really say there yet. So that's going to be a interesting one to look at, and I don't know if this is one I'm going to pick up. I did enjoy Kingdom Hearts. I have really nothing against it. It's just it feels like a lot of back and forth. It feels like there's a lot of grinding in there for the sake of just grinding, especially with traversing from location to location, back to forth. It sometimes feels like you can get yourself lost really quick. If you want to see what we think about it, especially with Kingdom Hearts 3's DLC, go check out our video on our YouTube page, especially if you're watching there. You can go and check that out after the live stream is done. If you're on our Facebook page, go to our YouTube page and go look for that. It's a video we published, I believe, early... it was either late 2019 or early 2020, so be sure to go check out our thoughts there on the Remind DLC. Very, very fascinating stuff on that one, at least what we saw and how that DLC handled the ending. Moving on, of course, here to our next story, and we've actually got two back-to-back TV/movie, like silver screen stories, I guess, to go through. And this next one here actually comes to us from Polygon, and this is by far one of the most interesting ones I've seen. Go ahead, get this up here. From Polygon, Jack Black will be Claptrap in the Borderlands movie. Black will reunite with Jumanji star Kevin Hart for Eli Roth's film, and this is just crazy. The movie adaptation for Borderlands has some big stars attached, and the studio making it, Lionsgate, just announced that the movie's Claptrap. The plucky robot companion will be voiced by Jack Black, who will star alongside Cate Blanchett as Lilith, Kevin Hart as Roland, and Jamie Lee Curtis as Patricia Tannis. Claptrap is one of the most prominent characters in all three Borderlands games. He started in his own downloadable content called Claptrap's New Robot Revolution and was a playable character in Borderlands the pre-sequel. Jack Black definitely has the comedic chops to take on the character of Claptrap, who is the series' main source of comic relief. The latest draft of the screenplay is written by Craig Mazin of HBO's Chernobyl and The Last of Us. So I really wish I would have taken the time to actually download like an audio clip or something of Jack Black to like tweak the actual like audio levels of it to see what would what it would come out to sound like, because I think Jack Black really does have the voice to handle it, like once you actually add in all of the audio adjustments to make it sound like Claptrap. I'm just hoping though, because I don't even have to describe it, everybody knows what Jack Black sounds like and how he enunciates things. I'm almost wondering if that's going to end up being something that he may try to avoid as playing the character of Claptrap, or at least voicing the character of Claptrap, playing the character. All I imagine is just Jack Black running around in a Claptrap costume, just a cardboard box that's painted yellow, just put on him with a green Tupperware container here for the eye. But I'm kind of curious about the enunciation and whether or not that's going to be kind of pulled back, and more of the comedic value anyway that we already know of with Jack Black is going to fit into the profile of Claptrap very well anyway. So that's going to be really cool to see. we don't know, of course, when this is actually going to be coming out. They're still signing people on, and of course, we're in the midst of a global pandemic, so filming on movies has been very meh. There are things that have actually worked out. There are some things that haven't. We all have probably heard. I know at least I have. I'm sure a lot of you have as well about Tom Cruise's blow up on the most recent Mission Impossible set. So whatever's going on with the pandemic right now is really kind of kicking some things. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see this until maybe late 2022, early 2023. Who knows what the rest of the year actually has in store for us. Now, of course, moving on to another story. This time, of course, going from the silver screen to the TV screen, we have talking about The Last of Us and Pedro Pascal being signed on as Joel for The Last of Us TV series on HBO. So, going to the story here from GameSpot, HBO's The Last of Us cast The Mandalorian's Pedro Pascal as Joel. Just like that, the iconic duo is complete. Shortly after it was announced that Game of Thrones alum Bella Ramsey would play Ellie in HBO's adaptation of the video game The Last of Us, we now have a Joel. The Mandalorian star Pedro Pascal has won the coveted role. The news was first reported by Deadline. Took almost no time at all for Neil Druckmann, who wrote the video game and is also serving as writer on the series, to confirm the casting. And there's the other half, he wrote of Pascal in a tweet. Stoked to have Pedro aboard our show. What's interesting about Pascal's casting is that per Deadline, The Last of Us has a first position. That means HBO essentially has first dibs on scheduling the actor. However, given that his character on The Mandalorian stays masked nearly all the time he's on screen, chances are that won't be too difficult. Thus far, a release date for HBO's take on The Last of Us has not been announced. With the announcement of 2 leading cast members, though, clearly production is moving closer and closer to launching. As for how the show will compare to the game, executive producer Craig Mazin has said the plan is to introduce characters and events fans of the game series have yet to experience. I am a fan of Pedro Pascal, of course. I watched several seasons of Game of Thrones. Mandalorian, of course, is a very big one here in my house. And I know a lot of other people who are also watching The Mandalorian, though, too. So this is actually a really neat thing to see the continuation into more sci-fi fantasy stuff anyway for Pedro. But as you guys know, listening to the podcast and hearing Kyle and I talk anyway, though, is that I have not owned a PlayStation since the PlayStation 2. And I am very kind of like unaware of some of the mannerisms of Joel in The Last of Us. Of course, I'm aware of how things go through the game. Story-wise, I understand how things began in the first game. But overall, I don't really have a good idea of where Pedro's going to sit with all of this. I know there was some talk online about another actor, and I apologize, I don't have the article up here to talk about that actor in particular, but that actor, I guess, has a little bit better stage presence as Joel than Pedro Pascal might, but I think that might be more just actual look. But I can't remember the actual actor's name. It was, oh God, where was I reading that? I can't even remember. I think it was probably a tweet that was going around asking, like, why is this person being the one who's actually going to is not going to be the one to play Joel in the Last of Us show. I don't know. So for all of you, of course, if this is a cool thing, let us know in the comments. If you think that Pedro Pascal should be replaced for some other actor, then who do you think it should be? Let us know in the comments there too. Or if you're watching us, of course, live, please make sure to actually drop that in the chat as well, and we'll respond to it as we go on through the rest of the news. Moving on here, of course, to the next story in our segment tonight. We've, of course, got more information on the next BlizzCon, now known, of course, as BlizzConline. So this story comes to us again also from Polygon. BlizzCon schedule teases what's next for Diablo, and wow, Diablo and World of Warcraft seem to have a big presence at the show. Blizzard Entertainment released the schedule for this year's BlizzCon, an online-only event dubbed BlizzConline, showing what fans could expect from the 2-day digital show. While the BlizzConline 2021 schedule doesn't offer too much detail, it appears that both the World of Warcraft and Diablo franchises will be a major focus at the event. BlizzConline will kick off Friday, February 19th at 2 p.m. Pacific Time with an opening ceremony. According to the schedule, that will run just over an hour. The opening ceremony will be followed by a pair of What's Next panels for World of Warcraft and Diablo. Typically, those panels at BlizzCon offer additional insight into announcements made during the show's opening ceremonies. While we don't expect a new expansion for World of Warcraft given that Shadowlands just arrived in November, details on an upcoming patch, or content patch, could be revealed. Blizzard's other version of its massively multiplayer online game World of Warcraft Classic could be a focus as well. Blizzard recently reportedly surveyed players about interest in bringing back the Burning Crusade expansion to Classic. As for Diablo, we know Diablo 4 is in the works, as is Diablo Immortal, the mobile version of Blizzard's action role-playing game. A remake or remaster... God, I can't speak tonight, guys. I'm sorry about that. A remake or remaster of Diablo 2 is also reportedly in the works at Blizzard, courtesy of Vicarious Visions, the developer behind the recent Crash Bandicoot and Tony Hawk Pro Skater remakes. Diablo and World of Warcraft will also be the subject of deep dive and developer Q&A panels at BlizzConline. Blizzard's other properties, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and StarCraft, appear to have smaller presence at the show. Overwatch 2 will get a behind-the-scenes look on Friday, and Hearthstone's will be the subject of a deep dive that will offer a closer look at what's coming to the competitive card game in 2021. Activision Blizzard set expectations for Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2's release dates earlier this month in an investor presentation when it confirmed that neither title is expected to arrive this year. So, you guys are going to need to hop on there and take a look at that to see what you think of that. Of course, it's free. You don't need to go buy a digital ticket. You don't need to sign up and pay for anything itself to be able to actually go and watch all the different things. So, yeah, on my part of it, of course, I am actually very excited to see what is going to be coming up, of course, with Overwatch 2. You have all heard what we think of Overwatch 2, or at least Overwatch in general, how much Kyle plays it, how much I play it, how much Preston's played it. I'm a big Overwatch person. Of course, my whole family is here as well, too. So it's going to be interesting to see what else they have planned and what next they can show us. Of course, cinematic trailers are always the big thing to watch for, especially if they have something new for Overwatch 2. I am curious about the next stuff for Diablo 4 and then whether or not they're going to announce an expanded alpha or beta of Diablo Immortal, where it might actually cover the United States here soon. That's going to be an interesting one to see, especially because the reports out of Australia where the Diablo Immortal betas or alpha, I can't remember which version that is. Apparently the reports out of there have so far been very positive of it and that it actually fits really well. So that's going to be interesting to see if they decide to provide us with a with beta or alpha access to that here in the United States. Hearthstone played a little bit of that, of course. That one's definitely a fun one. World of Warcraft I used to play. I don't play much anymore. So yeah, big ones for me especially are going to be anything Overwatch 2 and I guess what comes up of Diablo 4 and Diablo Immortal, because that Diablo 4 cinematic trailer they're announcing it was on point. I just can't wait to see what's going to be coming next from that one for sure too. And I'm sure you guys are also looking forward to as well. So please, again, make sure to let us know in the comments which thing you're looking forward to most at BlizzConline. I'm actually curious though. I wonder if they're going to do anything cosplay related. Like I wonder if people are going to be doing cosplay stuff at home and will submit video or images of their cosplay for judging purposes and there will still be some type of awards. Don't know. That would actually be really cool. Anyway, moving on here to our next story in the list for tonight. We have from VG247, 343 Industries hints a new place to play Halo, the Master Chief Collection is coming soon. The latest Halo Waypoint blog post from 343 Industries suggests a new place and way to play is coming for the Halo Master Chief Collection. This week, a new test flight was announced for the immensely popular Halo, the Master Chief Collection by its developer 343 Industries. Over on the Halo Waypoint blog, the developer, who's been in charge of the series since Bungie moved on to Destiny in 2010, noted that the new test flight will arrive in the game in late February or early March and will introduce a new place and a new way to play. Not much information was shared about the game's future home beyond that, but chatter from fans on Halo social channels sees many players wanting Halo the Master Chief Collection to arrive on Epic Games Store, with more hopeful players thinking it could even arrive on the Nintendo Switch. Launching the game on EGS would make sense. After all, a cursory look at the game's popularity on Steam shows you that there is a notable appetite for the game on PC platforms. In the same flight that introduces this mysterious new platform, we also see frame of view slider changes, key binding and control revisions, mouse and keyboard support for the consoles, and view model changes too. It's worth noting that late February and early March are they giving guidelines for this new place to play teaser. The developer cover its back by saying things can change. I'm actually very curious about this one myself too, because Present rumors right now, based on some other things that are going on, is that it could actually be the Switch. Microsoft actually recently worked with Nintendo on a Switch concierge service. I think I'm pronouncing it concierge. Yeah, sounds right to me. Uh, they are working on a some sort of concierge service. God, you get those words running together, you just end up being an animal as you're trying to talk. Um, they're working. They have a service that's going to be coming out to Switch, or already has, that helps players work on picking out their next game. And let me see if I can actually find the article on that. Switch concierge service. Let's see. Yeah, let's take a look here. Let's go to this Kotaku article and take a look a little closer here. Yeah, let me go and switch over here to this. So this is what Microsoft just helped them work on, and this article is actually from yesterday. So we can talk a little bit about that, though, as it comes up. Nintendo has launched Nintendo Switch Concierge, a program designed to familiarize those who recently purchased a Nintendo Switch system with the console. Switch Concierge gives Switch owners one-on-one video conferences with a Nintendo rep. There are 6 half-hour sessions to choose from: Nintendo Switch 101, games, getting started, games, what to play next, security and privacy, Nintendo account, and customization. It all appears very 101. For instance, the games getting started session purportedly covers the difference between buying a game on cartridge or purchasing it via digital download. The customization session, meanwhile, will go over the Nintendo-inspired Instagram feed. A service for new Switch owners wouldn't have been a thing last year. Last spring, while Animal Crossing New Horizons soothed those confined to their homes during the start of the pandemic, it was nearly impossible to get your hands on a Switch. Now that most digital retailers will have the Switch back in stock, Switch Concierge is presumably more viable. This is actually set up by Microsoft here, so I actually went and searched for it. Let's see. So it is leveraging Microsoft Teams, of course, on this. I'm trying to see exactly where it. Let's see here. Yeah, let me just get rid of this here. Get out of there. Get out of there. There. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Are you gonna be a pain in the butt now? Okay. Let's see. There was talk about this because I was reading on this about the Microsoft stuff here. As to whether it's especially interesting that Nintendo is using a Microsoft service for the Switch Concierge service, that depends. Nintendo has worked with Microsoft in more substantial ways before, including a Switch version of Minecraft and the Ori games. Microsoft Teams, along with Zoom and Google Meet, is a major video meeting platform, and it's probably easier for Nintendo to use an existing service than to develop something in-house. So that article, of course, is from Tom's Guide. So that's... Oops, sorry, wrong camera. There we go. So I wanted to go back to that and just kind of look a little closer there. And the only reason for that one specifically was just because whether or not Microsoft actually had a hand in helping develop some of that dedicated Teams infrastructure for Nintendo, or if Nintendo just uses Microsoft products and it's just like, okay, well, what can we do to incorporate Teams usage into the Nintendo Switch, I guess. So that's one of those things that a lot of people are looking at, because Kyle and I talked about this, oh God, what's it been? A couple weeks now, where Nintendo was approached by Microsoft back before the original launch of the Xbox for Microsoft to acquire Nintendo because they made good games. Microsoft made good hardware. At least we didn't know if it was good at that point. And Nintendo laughed them out. But of course, since that point in time, since you're talking, late 99, early 2000, things have softened up a bit more. There's more collaboration. There's more talk on things. There's support back and forth, of course. There's huge admiration, of course, between both sides, of course, with Minecraft collaboration. Ori and the Blind Forest, of course, was mentioned. But I actually would be curious to see if Master Chief Collection ended up making it to the Switch. On a 720p screen, that's one thing, but being able to take Master Chief Collection with you and be able to play the campaign solo without actually having to use game streaming is kind of neat. At the same time, there was also a rumor floating around about Game Pass making its way over to the Nintendo Switch as well, too, or at least some type of rumors and talks going on about that, which not only would give Microsoft another platform to be able to serve its games up on, but also would start to cross that divide that a lot of us have never seen before. For those of us who have grown up in the video gaming world since its, I'm not going to say really its inception, because I'm not that old. My first video game console was a Super Nintendo. But the big thing with that is, we've never seen this type of cross collaboration before between big competitors, at least. The last time we saw something crazy big like this, if you really want to look at it, at least hardware wise, was on the Sony Nintendo collab. And then ultimately we saw that break apart, and we saw the PlayStation be born from the ashes, rose like a phoenix. So we haven't seen something like this in our history, really, of this main level of collaboration. So a couple things would be to see if Master Chief Collection does end up making it. Those are big installs, though, so you better have a really beefy micro SD card to handle them. Or, then the Game Pass side of it, too. Excuse me. So it's very possible we could see an expansion on this even further. So it'd be neat if that was the platform. If they decide to add it to Epic Games Store, I mean, okay, sure, that's just another way for people to get games. I don't really see why that would be another thing to do, especially because of the popularity of Steam in the first place. But I don't know. I don't make the business decisions here. I just buy games and play games. That's it. So it's going to be very neat to see exactly what comes of that. Anyway, carrying on here to our second to last story, of course, you guys kind of saw. God, again, I cannot talk today at all. As you guys kind of saw there, as I teased it a little bit accidentally, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Microsoft, but this time we're going to be talking kind of about what's going on next for Microsoft and Bethesda. So this story comes to us from PC Gamer. Microsoft forms new subsidiary Vault to handle its ZeniMax acquisition. And of course, this is in pretty much Microsoft fare. In preparation for its $7.5 billion acquisition of Fallout owner ZeniMax, Microsoft has created a new subsidiary handily named Vault. As spotted by Eurogamer, a European Commission filing revealed that Microsoft intends to absorb ZeniMax by way of a merger with the newly formed subsidiary. The document itself is an invitation to interested parties to comment on or challenge the acquisition by February 15th. That will be this upcoming Monday. Though at this stage, the deal is all but sealed. Obviously, calling the subsidiary Vault is a cheeky wink to Fallout, but the ZeniMax acquisition also grants Microsoft ownership of everything from the Elder Scrolls and Doom to Starfield. I suppose Dragonborn or Slayer don't make for quite catchy. Yeah. Anyway, the concentration is accomplished by way of a merger pursuant to which a newly created Microsoft subsidiary Vault will be merged with and into ZeniMax. While Microsoft now holds ownership of ZeniMax's staggering lineup of blockbuster RPGs and shooters, it doesn't plan to make them Xbox exclusives for the time being. It does, however, mean that future Bethesda games will be on Xbox Game Pass from day one, with Microsoft claiming they want the studio's games to be first or better or best on our platforms. So this is not out of the realm of the way Microsoft handles things when it comes to naming their companies. Of course, if we look at the developer team they set up for Halo, once Destiny handed everything off, 343 Industries, of course, that is direct relation to 343 Guilty Spark in the Halo series. You've got the Coalition as well, which the Coalition is who handles the Gears of War series. And of course, the Coalition is shorter on there for Coalition of Order Governments, or of course known as the COG. So that's that's really not out of the realm of possibility for them to really be picking a name like that really ties into what the games are going to be. But of course, ZeniMax, Bethesda, all of that has a huge lineup of different games. Some are RPGs, some are not. It's just a huge swath of things. So for them to settle on Vault, I guess, means they have it's like, okay, everybody really liked Fallout, so let's go with that one. But yeah, again, this is not out of the realm of possibility for what Microsoft has done in the past. And I'm not really shocked that they went down this path anyway either. So yeah, okay, that's just another filing from them anyway. But of course, as things end, we also have to end here as well too with our last story, and we got ourselves a new trailer and a release date for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for the PlayStation 5. As reported on by Games Radar, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart release date set for June. The Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart release date is set for June 11th, 2021. Creative director Marcus Smith wrote on the PlayStation blog, "If you've never played a Ratchet & Clank game before, this is an excellent one to start with, as the adventure is a standalone storyline, but longtime fans of the series will find deeper layers of connection to previous games." Along with the Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart release date, Insomniac released the final box art for the game and detailed its special editions. You can check those out below. So, of course, with the change in box art for the PlayStation 5, of course, it's the white logo at the top, and that actually does look pretty good. And their collector's edition is going to have a new weapon here. Of course, let's actually expand that out and look. Pixelizer weapon that you actually get in the game, and then Carbonox armor for what looks to be Ratchet, and then the female Lombax as well too. Let's see, 5 armor sets, photo mode, 20 raritanium, in-game upgrade materials, digital soundtrack, and digital art book. So it looks like there's going to be no physical collector's edition release, at least so far shown here. Pre-ordering either the digital standard edition, digital deluxe. Oh, we just already covered that. As expected, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart will cost $69.99 or $79.99 for the digital deluxe edition. UK pricing hasn't been confirmed yet, but based on PS5's launch games like Demon's Souls, it's expected to clock in at £69.99. With the release date on the calendar, now we just need to know more about the new Silver Lombax girl seen in the trailers for Rift Apart. Smith teased a bit more about her identity today. "Yes, we know you are asking for the new Lombax's name, and it's not fair that we put her in the art and aren't telling you yet. Hang in there, you'll be feeling rosy soon." And of course, the author of the article here says, "Call me crazy, but I reckon her name might be Rosie. Matches Ratchet's name nicely anyway, but we could also just be an odd choice of words on Smith's part. We will know soon enough." So, yeah, we're going to be getting the Ratchet & Clank stuff here soon. There was at least a new trailer I thought that had come out here. I think it was just more showing off just additional clips of the same thing that we had seen in the original announcement trailer. Of course, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is pulling what everybody's doing right now, which honestly is just multiverses, different timelines, different things being pulled together. And it looks like what's going to happen is we're going to see all the different things bridged together from the previous Ratchet & Clank games, maybe the Clank standalone game there too, into one larger game. So things that we all grew up with from the original Ratchet & Clank game all the way up through now are probably going to be making their appearance in lovely 4K, 60 frame per second HDR, ray tracing glory, because ray tracing is the buzzword of 2020, 2021, and so on. Of course, for PCs, it used to be tempered glass and RGB, but whatever. But that's what we're looking at coming up here soon. So, again, that release date, June 11th. So if you're one to go pre-order, go pre-order. If you're not one to pre-order, then I guess you're going to end up waiting till June 11th to go pick up a physical copy or download that digital copy as well. With all of that said, of course, everybody, guess what? That is actually, man, I hate how that bounces around. And you do better about the way the video stuff goes. I didn't realize things shifted from side to side here, of course, too. But that is it, everybody, for this week's news. I think I did okay here. Nobody commented on the video here to tell me anything bad, so go us. I really appreciate that. Hey, no news is good news, right? Except for the news, of course, that we're talking about, but I digress. So thank you, of course, for tuning in. Kyle should be back with us next week, of course. If you are watching us on Facebook, don't forget to hit that like button on there so that way you can follow the NPCs along and catch us when we go ahead and go live with the news. Of course, when we post the podcast as well. Again, apologies, we did not have a podcast this last week. Just some things came up that did not allow us to meet up virtually, of course, like we were going to. So be on the lookout for 2 new episodes coming up this next week. If you are watching us on YouTube, do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you know when we put up new videos, when we go ahead and go live, of course, with the news stream as well. We did just put up a new video this last week of Hitman 3. Preston gives us a once-over of that game, and it's a very fishy situation that he gets himself into with that one. So please make sure to go check that out. Give that a like. Make sure to go ahead and add a comment to it as well. Really helps us out, of course, as things go along with the channel. And thank you to you for tuning in and checking out this week's news. We will catch you guys all later.